Thank you very much. More local news here tonight at 5. The federal trial of former Metro Police Officer Brett Hankison will soon be underway in Louisville. The interviewing of potential jurors continue today in downtown Louisville at the federal courthouse. The former LMPD detective is accused of violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor and her neighbors after firing shots during the 2020 raid at her apartment. WHAS11's Alexis Jones is covering the trial where they need 16 jurors.
For more than 24 hours, this high-profile case has been behind closed doors until now. Attorneys and the judge finally returned to the courtroom Tuesday afternoon, but with a new set of potential jurors. According to the courthouse's clerk, this group is a part of a much larger jury pool. Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings and attorneys interviewed the first 44 people inside a library Monday, mainly to give each potential juror the confidence to answer truthfully. Judge Grady Jennings says they plan to go through the same process with this new group of people, adding they still have 10 left from the first group to be questioned. However, she didn't share if anyone from the jury pool was chosen to be seated during trial. As for Brett Hankison, our cameras caught him walking inside the federal building with his attorneys Tuesday morning. We briefly saw him again inside of the courtroom as Judge Grady Jennings addressed the court for the first time since Monday. As of right now, it's still unclear when a jury will be seated and when opening statements will begin, but the judge assures it won't be today. In Louisville, Alexis Jones, WHAS 11 on your side.
So stay here with us. We've got a lot more for you coming up as we bring you more coverage of the upcoming trial at 5:30 on WHAS 11 News. And Carl Price, a former Jefferson County prosecutor who's now a Louisville defense attorney, is going to be joining me live. Price has been with us on and on since 2020, talking about the issues connected to the Breonna Taylor case. He's going to explain how Hankison can be acquitted on state charges, but now facing a federal trial on civil rights violations. That's ahead in just a few minutes at 5:30. The trial date for the Delphi, Indiana murder suspect Richard Allen has been moved to next October now, nearly 9 months later than anticipated. He's accused of the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams in 2017. This morning, his former defense attorneys, Brad Rossi and Andrew Baldwin, were back at his side, saying they planned to represent him pro bono, even though he already has new representation. The judge wasn't in agreement with that, but did allow this to push the trial date to ensure that his current defense has enough time to go through the discovery. The Delphi murder trial is now set from 1 year from now, October 15th, again next year. Today, Indiana State Police made an arrest in a murder case that was a cold case until now, exactly 41 years after the original killing. On Halloween of 1982, 24-year-old Clifford Smith was murdered in Jackson County. His body found just over a month later on December 1st along the White River north of Seymour. At the time, it was determined that Smith had been shot in the head. Now, 41 years later, exactly to the date, Indiana State Police have arrested 61-year-old Ronald Jack Anderson at his home in Seymour, Indiana. He was taken to Jackson County Jail and is awaiting his first court appearance. A Virginia man is in jail in southern Indiana after 2 police chases, a car crash, and a foot race. It happened last Friday afternoon, according to Indiana State Police release just sent out today. Police say a concerned driver on 64 called 911 and reported a white Mercedes-Benz driving recklessly near Corydon. Authorities discovered the car was involved in a police chase earlier in the day in western Indiana. Then at around 2:30 in the afternoon, a Harrison County deputy saw the Mercedes going 120 miles per hour, and that's when the officers tried to catch up to the car. The chase on and off the interstate, running stoplights until the Mercedes turned into the median and got stuck. The driver, identified as Mitchell Ray Lassiter. Lassiter ran from his car before being arrested. He's charged with drug possession, criminal recklessness, reckless driving, and resisting arrest. He's now in the Harrison County Jail. 1 week from today, Election Day, and a new radio ad is now targeting a candidate for Kentucky governor for what he didn't do in the Breonna Taylor investigation. Republican nominee Daniel Cameron is accused of ignoring black values. Our senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez has been listening to the ad and been looking into the radio spot. And you got a copy of it, Isaiah, and has the Cameron campaign responded to it and what it's been saying about him?
Doug, it didn't take them long, naturally, just given some of the comments that were made. The Cameron campaign, of course, firing back. This comes after the Black Voters Matter action pack brought Cameron's race into their discussion.
What's up, Kentucky? It's election time, and all skin folks ain't kinfolk. Now, Uncle Daniel Cameron is threatening to take us backwards. The same man who refused to seek justice for Breonna Taylor.
And you heard there that first part, a phrase said often during protests here in Louisville, particularly after what some viewed as an inadequate investigation by Attorney General Daniel Cameron's office into Breonna Taylor's death. But the radio ad doesn't stop there, also attacking Cameron's proposals on health care and suggesting his views on abortion don't represent black values.
Here we have a situation where you have a black candidate who's been diametrically opposed to the interests of the black community, particularly on issues like police accountability.
And right there, you hear from Cliff Albright with the Black Voters Matter Fund, a national voting rights organization. Their role is different from the action PAC that funded the ad, but both entities fall under that same umbrella. Meanwhile, the Cameron campaign quickly fired back in a statement sent to me, Cameron saying, quote, "I never faced racism or discrimination while growing up or working in Kentucky until I decided to stand up to the National Democrat establishment." He goes on to say, "I don't support their policies, so the left attacks me for my skin color," end quote. Doug, we also talked to the lead organizer for Black Lives Matter Louisville. She actually feels the ad distracts from the real mission right now with the election just a few days away. Her thoughts right here at 6 o'clock tonight.
You're talking about Chanel Helm, who's had her thoughts also on the impact of the Breonna Taylor case. You've already reported on that, but we're 1 week away from election night. Let's talk about the important impact of the black vote in this election. You have seen, we had Until Freedom from New York come to town and say they were going to have an anti-Daniel Cameron push. Did that materialize? What have you been seeing so far?
Well, that group themselves, the Black Voters Matter group, was in Louisville just a few days ago, University of Louisville, talking to students, Doug, and their focus, they've been going across the state, Frankfort, Lexington, some cities in western Kentucky. Their focus is not just the metro areas. They tell me these Kentucky voters don't want to be just seen as pawns for the vote. They want to be seen as people. Their causes are real, and they're going across the state to get as many of those people out to the polls, and in this case, some of them not wanting Daniel Cameron in the governor's seat.
Okay. Isaiah, thank you very much. Well, by the way, more election news for you today. TARC is going to be offering free rides next Tuesday on Election Day to help you get to the polls. Rides will be during normal service hours and on the regular routes. By the way, TARC 3 rides will also be free for paratransit customers. We've got all this information listed for you online from the specific early in-person voting locations, which are going to start this week, this Thursday, to those TARC routes. There's also more information on Kentucky's key races from governor to secretary of state. Go to WHAS11.com and click on our special voter guide on the home page. Since sports betting became legal in Kentucky last month, over $325 million has been legally bet so far. The Kentucky Horse Racing Commission says 10 in-person retail sports books have generated over $15 million in total bets, and that total has remained consistent week to week. And over $310 million has been wagered across 7 online sports books since mobile sports betting was legalized on September 28. That's an average of over $9 million wagered online here in Kentucky every day.
We look forward to another exciting year ahead as we anticipate licensure for at least 2 brand new retail facilities, as mentioned earlier, at Derby City Downtown and Kentucky Downs, along with additional mobile sports books applying to join the Kentucky market.
The Churchill Downs venue in downtown Louisville will be opening in early December. The KHRC says the initial licensing fees for sports books generated over $4 million for the state, and they're anticipating over $820,000 in renewal fees next year. Well, today a Louisville Metro Council committee quickly passed a proposal that would extend alcohol sales around certain holidays coming up. Right now, alcohol, as you know, cannot be purchased in Louisville Metro until 1 p.m. on Sundays. But this year, both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve fall on Sundays. For those making last-minute purchases, the proposal would allow retail sales from 6 in the morning to midnight on both of those days. The same rule would then apply any year when those holidays fall on a Sunday.